Hello, this is Business Now, reaching you live from iBrandTV News today in Lagos. Coming up, World Bank economist warns countries against excessive borrowing. NNPC to begin 24-hour distribution as petrol scarcity bites harder. Flutterwave secures a $250 million Series D deal, now highest valued African startup. Thanks for joining us on Business Now. I am Perpetua Fasami Peter. Now the news in detail. We begin the news from the banking sector. A financial analyst has stated that Nigerian banks latch on the negligence and impotence of the banking audience to impose unnecessary charges. Business development consultant Adewale Justice said this earlier in the day on iBrandTV's Business Breakfast show. Justice stressed the need for consumers to always go through the right channels to make their complaints known.
The banks latch on the negligence and the impotence of the entire banking audience. A lot of us, a lot of Nigerian banks customers who do not get interested in following up or even reporting some of these anomalies.
Because those who have reported have not gotten any results.
That is on that side. You know, as it is in Israel, so it is in Egypt. Now we know for the regulator, the CBN, there are so much gaps. But again, before you talk about the gaps, pin the CBN to such gaps by doing what you are supposed to do. If you are, as a customer of a bank, you have been overcharged. Because like I do monthly for some of my clients, I get all your bank statements at the end of every month and I review and I summarize. Then I take account of all the charges. So if there is any anomaly, officially we write back to the bank.
But how many Nigerians can do that?
That is where the major issue is. Most of us are not that spirited to follow up such. But that is the bane of the financial crisis in Nigeria.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPC, on Wednesday said it has over 1 billion liters of clean premium motor spirit, PMS, also known as petrol, in its stock for nationwide distribution. It also said 2.3 billion liters of PMS would arrive in Nigeria between now and the end of the month to restore sufficiency. The petrol supply chain was disrupted last week when the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority announced that it discovered methanol quantities above Nigeria's specifications. NNPC, the regulator and sole importer of petrol products in Nigeria, accused 4 marketers, including its own Duke Oil, as the importers of the adulterated petrol. The importers of the bad fuel, according to NNPC, includes Ms. MRS, which made the importation through a vessel, Emadeb Hyde, Bridgeview Consortium through a vessel, Oando through and Duke Oil. However, Emadeb-led consortium, MRS, and Oando denied the allegation and said NNPC was the regulator of the market. Meanwhile, NNPC has threatened sanctions on the culprits, but is yet to speak on the measures. More small and medium-scale businesses in Lagos State are now being affected as fuel scarcity bites harder within the metropolis. iBrand senior reporter Aigbo Jerikoro reports that most of the filling stations visited are now running out of products with long queues.
Some stations are selling higher, while some are still selling normal. So some of the stations, and there's some of them, they are without bribing them, they will not like to attend to you. They will say bribe them, and that is not good for the country. For us to bribe or get what we need. Because of the country, because of the present situation now, they are using that as an advantage, which is very wrong.
This thing is affecting my business, our business. We're supposed to travel now. We've been on queue since 1 hour. Since 1 hour, please. We don't know what to do, so it's really affecting us. And God bless Nigeria. Now, we don't have fuel for us to go to where we want to go and get our things from. So now it's really affecting us.
I grew up in Nigeria. There was a time we dey buy fuel for 96 naira. Now it's going to almost 200 naira. We've been adapting. Life goes on. We no go kill ourselves. People will go die, will go die. People will not go die. Plenty. People will not want die. Plenty. So we go adapt. We go survive. Now one of the characteristics of human being be that adaptability.
I don't know. I don't really. Honestly, is beyond is beyond what we prepare for. I am tired. Can see the way I'm sweating. I can't even hold my AC. Left one NU there because of the long queue. After spending over 1 hour on the queue, I'm spending almost 1 hour again.
iBrand business correspondent Frank Omalape now joins us on Business Now to help make sense of this development. Good day. Good to have you.
Yeah, it's good to be here, Perpetua.
All right. So what do you make of the persistent queues we have in our filling stations? And when we look at the situation in Abuja, it's even taken a different turn where we have retailers preferring to sell to people who are bearing gallons. And these people in turn become the black marketers. And we know how much this goes for in Abuja. What do you make of all of this?
Well, it's no news that the disruption or the fuel scarcity we're witnessing now or experiencing in the country now is as a result of loophole or laxity from NNPC, who is the sole importer of this particular product. And remember sometime last week where enough quantity or more than enough quantity of methanol was found in the, a petrol, and that couldn't be consumed by motorists. We saw motorists buying, and at the end of the day, they discovered that it was affecting their movement. And so that again triggered a bit of disruption in the supply across the country because they had to be recalled. Over 100 million liters went out and it had to be recalled. The process of recalling, of course, it will take time. Why? Because it's been loaded. They are already dispersing and I mean distributing it across the country. So that process of recalling will take enough time for it to get back, and so until they call them back, the new ones couldn't be distributed, and so that affected. So the quantity remaining has to be hoarded. And so each filling stations, started hoarding because they know, okay, we can no longer get fuel. So the only thing is to hoard. And by way of hoarding, the prices went up, as high as 300 or 400 in the city of Abuja.
Yeah, that's for the...
Yes. And then except for Lagos that, the prices were hovering between 162, which is the original pump price, and of course, 200 and above. And in some cases, some motorists have to bribe their way to get the fuel. And so the disruption we're seeing is as a result of that. But the question is, what has the NNPC, who is the sole importer of this product, done since then? And so we need to also bring in the regulatory authority, which is the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory, who is supposed to be regulating that and monitoring that sector. So what has been done since then? So the question is, what is NNPC doing and what is the regulatory authority doing? So it is because there's a laxity. So nobody, when an agency who is supposed to be monitoring a situation like that, is relaxes in its responsibility, you're bound to see laxity like that. But the effect is still on, and we'll continue to witness the disruption, even though the NNPC has said, okay, over 1 billion liters of fuel has been distributed, and you have different agencies or marketing associations who are already lifting and dispensing. But then it might take time, and we're bearing this cost because there's someone refused to do his job. That's why we're witnessing this.
All right, you were asking a question about what is NNPC doing. Well, I'm sure you already know that the NNPC is actually trying to make things work now, and they are talking about the fact that they will be injecting 2.3 million liters into the economy and all of that between now and the end of February. Do you think that's enough? And they're also saying that NNPC, they are going to be operating 24 hours, and they're also sending out officials to ensure that these retailers are selling. Don't you think that's enough measure to just cushion the effects and ensure that we get out of this?
No, you remember the way we distribute our product is different. I mean, we have to lift and then transport across road. We don't have a situation where we can transport from one point to another freely or easily. So it's not that going to be easy, even though they said, okay, we have over 2 million or 2 billion,
2.3 billion,
2.3 billion liters of fuel. So how do they intend to distribute? Yes, it could be there, but the reality now is that we do not have fuel scarcity. That's the reality. there's fuel scarcity. We do not have enough to consume. Remember, Nigeria consume daily average 57. That's about 57 million liters per day. And so if you put that together on a daily basis, so in the next 1 month, so you know how much will amount to. So if you talk about what the NNPC is doing, yes, they said they are on top of the matter, and they will, those who are involved will be sanctioned. The truth of the matter is, if they are the sole importer of this product, and they are blaming
MRS
some marketers, MRS, they are blaming individual marketers or companies who are operating in this sector. So they are automatically they are indicting themselves. So if you also notice, this has also become like a conduit for embezzlement, because remember, when NNPC came out and said, okay, we are going to ensure we clean up this mess, they budgeted about over 200 billion naira to clean up this mess. So this is the effect of laxity like this. So for me, I think that NNPC should question itself first, should assess its own responsibility first before they can start talking about. So does it mean that they colluded, or there are officials within the NNPC that connived with these marketers to bring in this crude oil? So it's impossible. So for me, I think NNPC should explain why we're having this, because if they are the sole importer of this product, so why blame the marketers?
All right, away from that, very quickly, let's look at this. You understand that some of these retailers are saying that they have the adulterated petrol in their storage and they would need time to get it out so they can get the new ones. And then we also see a situation where the national PRO, beg your pardon, of IPMAN is saying that some retailers have actually started blending the adulterated fuel with the clean fuel. What do you make of that?
Well, oh yes, that is, of course, that is possible. You can't rule that out, and because some people want to make up for the loss.
Then whose job is it to ensure that this doesn't happen, looking at the fact that it has adverse effects?
Well, I hope that, of course, the regulatory is there. The regulatory authority, that is the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, is there to ensure that these adulterated products are properly recalled, and no marketer, no association will still be in custody of these adulterated, because it has to be recalled and cleaned out or pull out of the system entirely. Otherwise, we're going to see some marketers or some people who are still going to take advantage of this loophole to cash in on Nigerians.
All right, finally, now some analysts are beginning to say that this fuel scarcity has the tendency to affect inflation. What's your take on that?
Well, it's true. It's already affecting it. Yes, of course, it's possible to affect inflation. And the reason why that is because if you buy, for instance, in Abuja, that where you buy a liter of petrol for about 400 naira.
700, 1,000, depending on where you're buying from.
Depending on where you're buying it from. The truth of the matter is that the transportation cost will go up. So if I buy as a motorist, I buy for 400 naira. So you don't expect me, where I usually charge about 100 naira, you don't expect me to charge 100 naira. I'm going to charge double, maybe 100%, and that will be 200 naira. So it actually will trigger, but basically to affect transportation. Basically, I think inflation will go up in the area of transport and all of that, but I don't think it will affect food inflation, except if it lingers beyond this period. Well, NNPC has said, yeah, we have fuel, and let's see in the next 1 week, let's see if we can have that out there for everybody.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Franco Malape.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here.
All right, sir. Okay, consumer price index, commonly referred to as headline inflation, declined slightly to 15.60% in January. The decline follows an increase in December 2021 to 15.63% after an 8-month decrease between April and November 2021. The National Bureau of Statistics attributed the change in the declining trend recorded in December to the increase in prices of goods and services as a result of upsurge in their demand during the festive season. Meanwhile, economic experts at an economic think tank, the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, said that although the economy recorded a marginal decline in headline inflation in January, high inflationary pressures continued to be a major worry to stakeholders in the Nigerian economy. The Chief Executive Officer, CPPE Muda Yusuf, listed some of the implications of the high inflation rate to include increased production and operational costs for businesses, aggravated poverty as a result of high food prices, and erosion of investors' confidence due to price volatility. He advised the government to address the core drivers of the country's inflationary pressures to curb the trend. Although food inflation declined in January, it remained elevated at 17.13%, according to the figures released by the NBS. Delays in dealing with the growing debt burden in poor countries seems unlikely to be resolved by the G20, a top World Bank official warned. As interest rates are starting to rise around the world, putting more pressure on borrowers, the group of 20 finance ministers are due to meet in Indonesia this week. But World Bank Chief Economist Carmen is skeptical there will be a resolution soon to help address unsustainable debts. Reinhardt warned that the average length of a government debt crisis is 9 years, which would create a lost decade for already vulnerable countries. In its World Development Report released Tuesday, the global lender again flagged the issue of hidden debt vulnerabilities due to rising private sector debt, including the pandemic, as well as lack of transparency around lending, especially by China. The World Bank report urges policymakers in debtor countries to deal with the pressing economic risks, dealing with bad loans quickly to shore up their financial systems, as well as addressing high government debt. That is more urgent since rising prices globally have prompted major central banks to begin raising interest rates, and the U.S. Federal Reserve is expected to do so next month. The House of Representatives Committee on Financial Crimes has begun work on a bill to make it compulsory for workers in the banking, insurance, and pension industries to declare their assets. The proposed law will also bar staff members of banks and other financial institutions from operating accounts outside the shores of Nigeria. Their spouses and children may also be mandated to declare their assets if the bill becomes law. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation would also be stripped of the responsibility of keeping records of the assets declared by Nigeria Customs Service and bank workers and transfer it to the relevant regulator of each industry. The chairman of the committee, Ibrahim Duse, while briefing journalists on Declaration of Assets Amendment Bill 2021 in Abuja on Tuesday, said the proposal was to reflect the prevailing situation in the country. According to him, the bill basically seeks to amend or review the existing act to check the excesses of not only bank employees, but also the financial institutions in general. Nigeria's balance of payment account has hit a surplus of $3.68 billion in the third quarter of 2021, after enduring recurrent account deficits in the past 10 quarters since first quarter of 2019. This is according to data collected from the Central Bank of Nigeria. According to the report, Nigeria recorded its first current account surplus in almost 3 years as the combination of an increase in net foreign trade balance, diaspora remittances, and decline in fund outflows resulted to a $3.68 billion net balance. The current account balance recorded in third quarter 2021 represents a significant increase compared to the $424.37 million deficit recorded in the preceding quarter, and even a bigger uptick compared to $3.62 billion deficit recorded in the corresponding period of 2020. Meanwhile, the significant improvement in the country's net balance of payment can be attributed to the increase recorded in its net foreign trade. The net goods account improved by 66.9% from $1.06 billion recorded in second quarter 2021 to $1.77 billion recorded in third quarter 2021. And still to come, oil prices falls on profit taking as global stock market slumped. Details and more news update after this commercial break. Stay with us.
Powerful looks command respect, they say. The perfect body, the perfect grooming, and ultimately the perfect skin. Looks, style, and grooming makes the ultimate man. found a ridiculously easy way to make my skin always feel epic. My name is Neo. I found Blemiviv, and now my skin finally makes sense. Most people don't understand the magic of the perfect skin, the allure of a well-pampered skin. We bounce from skincare products to skincare products, from spa to spa. Looking for that ideal solution. I found the solution. And it's Blemiviv Skincare and Spa. My name is Neil, and I'm proud to be a part of the Blemiviv family.
Glad to know you stay with us. Now, stories from Africa. Flutterwave has secured a $250 million Series D deal, multiplying the company's valuation in triple-fold to reach $3 billion. According to reports, this was led by B Capital Group and also saw participation from Alta Park Capital, Will Rock Capital, Lux Capital, among others, while existing investors involved include Glean Capital, Avenue Growth, Tiger Global, Green Vessel Capital, and Salesforce Ventures. The fresh deal comes after its last Series C, deal in March 2021, which pushed the startup's valuation to reach a $1 billion led by Tiger Global and Avenue Growth Capital. With the new deal, the startup is expected to reinforce its drive to transform the way Africans transact on the continent and worldwide, whilst also supporting the growth of the business, innovation and technology landscape in Africa. And from the foreign scene, the United States needs to pursue new strategies and update its domestic trade tools to deal with China's state-led non-market policies and practices, the U.S. Trade Representative's office said on Wednesday in a new assessment report. The U.S. Trade Representative said in its annual report on China's compliance with World Trade Organization rules that a Phase 1 trade agreement signed by the Trump administration 2 years ago failed to address fundamental U.S. concerns with China's industrial policies and supporting policies, including massive financial resources. It said such support, which includes favorable regulatory support to Chinese industry and limited market access for imported goods and services, is often aimed at specific targets for capacity, production and market share. It follows final 2021 trade data showing Beijing's failure to meet promised 2-year targets for purchasing U.S. goods, services and energy under the Phase 1 deal, which eased a tariff war between the world's two largest economies. Oil prices fell on Tuesday as investors took profits from the previous day's rally to 7-year highs and as global stock markets slumped, although losses were capped by fears that Russia might invade Ukraine and disrupt supplies. Brent crude futures was at $96.19 per barrel, down 29 cents, after rising $2.04 on Monday. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude dropped 36 cents to $95.10 per barrel after gaining $2.36 the previous day. Both benchmarks hit their highest since September 2014 on Monday, with Brent touching $96.78 and WTI reaching $95.82. Russia is one of the world's largest oil and gas producers, and fears it could invade Ukraine have driven a rally in oil towards $100 per barrel, a level not seen since 2014. And from here, we'll go on a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll bring you more news. Stay with us.
Swift Dry Cleaners Limited, professional dry cleaners, best in dry cleaning and laundry services that meets the needs of our consumers. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Yeah. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Yeah, for clean wash and quick delivery. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. For clean wash and quick delivery. Ooh.
Swift Dry Cleaners. Clean wash, quick delivery.
Oh boy, winning you was so easy.
I just couldn't stand those your powerful shots. That's what happened.
Really? Let's go to my place for dinner.
This fufu is so nice.
It's true unripe plantain flour.
True unripe plantain flour is delicious.
Yes, true unripe plantain flour is what I serve my husband for swallows. It's easy to prepare, fortified with vitamin A, low in sugar and cholesterol, rich in fiber that helps the heart, builds and strengthens the bone, and his energy level is boosted.
Through unripe plantain flour, no additives, 100% natural, a product of Pali Agro Products Nigeria. Through unripe plantain flour, available in all leading stores nationwide.
True unripe plantain flour is 100% natural flour gotten from the processing of unripe plantain. It contains no addictive and has a net content of 500 grams. True unripe plantain flour contains vitamin A, B6 and C. It is gluten-free and rich in calcium. Consuming through unripe plantain flour helps to build and strengthen stronger bones and can be a great meal for diabetic patients. It decreases your chances of constipation as it has a high fiber content and provides you with a low-fat diet. Here are some steps to prepare your through unripe plantain flour. Firstly, mix through unripe plantain flour with hot water in a pot and gradually add water till you achieve desired thickness. Place over medium heat and turn very well for 4 to 5 minutes to get the right texture. Mold into a ball and place in a bowl and allow to cool. Serve with your choice of soup. Through unripe plantain flour can be eaten with any variety of soup, be it your ofe oha, ofe onugbu, begiri, ewedu, or your miyan kuka. To get your through unripe plantain flour, contact us at 12 Olowera Isheri Road by First Welder bus stop off Omole Phase 2, Olowera, Lagos, Nigeria, or call 070-6663-8213 or 081-6397-4447. Distributors are needed nationwide.
Welcome back. President Muhammadu Buhari has asked the National Assembly to approve the sum of 2.55 trillion naira supplementary budget for petrol subsidy from July to December 2022 and the 2022 budget framework. iBrandTV senior correspondent iBrandTV reports that the president's request was contained in a letter read on the floor of the National Assembly by the Senate President Ahmed Lawan.
President Buhari said the amendment is necessary to accommodate some issues in the country, including petroleum subsidy, which must be considered. The president therefore requested that an additional provision for 2.557 trillion naira be appropriated by the National Assembly to fund the petrol subsidy in the 2022 budget framework, which was reversed to provide fully for the PMS subsidy. The Senate president said in the letter, President Buhari said while 106 billion naira provided in the supplementary bill would be used for capital expenditure, 43.87 billion naira would be spent on recurrent expenditure.
Following the suspension of the PMS subsidy removal, the 2022 budget framework has been revised to fully provide for PMS subsidy. An additional provision of 2.557 trillion naira will be required to fund the petroleum subsidy in 2022. Consequently, the Federation account main pool revenue for the three tiers of government is projected to decline by 2 trillion naira, while federal government's share from the account is projected to reduce by 1.05 trillion naira. Therefore, the amount available to fund the federal government budget is projected to decline by 969.09 billion naira. Aggregate expenditure is projected to increase by 45.85 billion naira due to additional domestic debt service provision of 102.5 billion naira net of the reductions in statutory transfers by 56.67 billion naira as follows.
iBrandTV reporting for iBrandTV News.
A one-day methodology audit workshop designed to strengthen the security agencies in Nigeria has been held by the Nigeria Police Force and stakeholders in the security sector. iBrandTV reports that the event, which took place in Abuja, the nation's capital, is to promote public safety and access to justice in the country.
The acting executive director of Clean Foundation, Mrs. Ruth Olufen, while emphasizing on the need for the workshop size during a methodological workshop audit to strengthen and reform the security agencies in the country, some of those things needed to bring back the Nigerian police force on track, such as discipline, starting from the junior officers even before they join the service, must be given proper attention. She said the Nigerian police force should not be reformed in isolation, but should be reformed alongside other federal government agencies in the country.
So you cannot reform the police in isolation. You have to also look at other critical sectors within the society and and reform and do a holistic reform, governance reform, and all of that. Attitudinal reform of Nigerians, because we could have a Nigerian that meets a police officer and the conduct of that person can actually disrupt the relationship. So I think that if we should look at it from the lens of a holistic approach.
Ms. Solufun added that more funds should be provided for the police to enable them to do their job effectively and ensure the funds is properly channeled. Igboji Warrior, reporting for iBrandTV News.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, has said it will not shield anyone who may be indicted in the ongoing investigation of a 25-kilogram cocaine deal involving a gang headed by DCP Abba Kyari. The agency, in a statement on Wednesday by its spokesman, Femi Babafemi, said it remains committed to the evidence-based investigation and its resolve cannot be weakened by any misrepresentation of facts. According to the police investigation report, ASP James Bauer, in his statement to the police, reveals that he was called by an informant identified as Ike from Brazil, who told him that a drug courier will be arriving on board Ethiopian Airlines in Enugu. The report added, and I quote, in his own recorded conversation with our undercover officer, Abba Kyari also said the following: "They are greedy, seriously greedy," referring to his informants. "We tried to have them accept 40%, but they refused, accept 50%. They know the rudiment of the deal very well. They are the ones that do the parking." In his summation, Mr. Babafemi asserted that the narrative leaves no doubt and emphatically establishes who the cartel was relating to and their modus operandi. He also assured that the agency will not deviate from an evidence-based investigation that will spare nobody found complicit. Following the indictment of the Super Corp, ACP Abba Kyari, in illegal drug business, Nigerians have started bearing their minds on what they call a misrepresentation and abuse of office. iBrandTV reporters spoke with respondents on the development, and this is what they have to say.
It's a national disgrace. Somebody that was given a standing ovation at the National Assembly, you remember? So it is a national disgrace that somebody that many youngsters are even looking after. If you ask little children, you want to become a policeman, they say you want to become like Abba Kyari. And now the same person now is being accused of different crimes. So it's shocking and a disgrace. Allegation of fraud, allegation of compromise with fraudsters, and now drug allegation. It will be a surprise, but that's not the first case we are witnessing in Nigeria.
I would say it's quite shameful, personally, for me as a Nigerian and for every Nigerian. I think he should even tender an apology to all Nigerians, and I believe he should be used as a scapegoat, because there are so many people like him that are using public office to not just their own selfish ambition, but also to commit dubious crimes. So if indeed he is guilty, of course, he should go through the due process of trial, and it should be proven by investigation that he is guilty. And that should be a transparent means for all Nigerians to see. And if he is guilty, I think he should face the full wrath of the law.
What example are they setting for the younger officers? So that means, to some considerable extent, because this is an assistant commissioner of police, right? If not because he was like involved in all these cases, before you know it, he becomes a commissioner of police, and by one way or the other, either politically or anyhow, you'll be appointed a commissioner of state. Now imagine the high rate of crime that will be involved in that state. So that's to show you how corrupt most of these our law officials, as in those people that are supposed to be safeguarding us, how corrupt they are. So really it's an eyesore.
We are very disappointed that somebody in that high position in this society, as in
the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, has assured that the organization has enough petrol to address the supply gap in the country, saying there are 1 billion litres of the product in stock. NNPC Group Executive Director Downstream, Mr. Adetunji Adeyemi, gave the assurance during a press conference in Abuja on Tuesday. Quote, "As of today, NNPC has over 1 billion litres of certified PMS stock that is safe for use in vehicles and machinery," end of quote. According to him, the NNPC is also expecting about 2.3 billion litres of petrol in the country by month end. To ensure seamless access to petrol, the NNPC also directed its depots and outlets to begin 24-hour operations. He also noted the NNPC has constituted a monitoring team with the support of the authority and other security agencies to ensure smooth distribution of petrol nationwide. The NNPC's recent move comes on the heels of concerns over the availability of fuel. For days, long queues have resurfaced across cities in the country. Motorists spend hours trying to fill up their tanks, while commuters have been left stranded. In cities like Lagos, transport fares have been hiked, and gridlock has become commonplace, especially in filling stations. The House of Representatives Joint Committee on Committees on Anti-Corruption and Public Service Matters on Tuesday summoned officials of the federal government in its investigation of illegal recruitment, nominal role padding, and duplication of projects by ministries, departments, and agencies, MDAs. Among those summoned by the committee are the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Folasha Adeyemi. Others include the Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, Auditor General for the Federation, Adolphus Aguhu, Chairman, Independent Court Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, Bolaji Owasonyi, Chief Executive Officer, Federal Character Commission, and the Officer in Charge, Integrated Payroll and Personnel Information System. Also summoned were all the MDAs of the federal government. The committee issued a summons over the failure of the invited MDAs to appear at the public hearing on the motion to investigate the high level of corruption in nominal roles of ministries, departments and agencies in the country. The Minister of Defense, Major General Bashir Salihi Magashi, is seeking renewal of the existing bilateral military agreements between Nigeria and France to reflect the real-time security-related needs of the two countries. General Magashi stated this when the ambassador of France to Nigeria, Emmanuel Blackman, paid a courtesy visit through the Ministry of Defense headquarters, Ship House, Abuja. In a statement on Tuesday by his special media aide, Mohammed Abdul Kadri, the minister said Nigeria and France are strategic partners and pointed out that the partnerships need to be rejigged to take it to higher levels of operability and deliverability. The defense minister therefore welcomed a more proactive intelligence gathering mechanism and technological support to drive a new information sharing regime in aid of their military campaigns in the country, while requesting for a technical interface between the two countries to examine critical areas of mutual benefit and the proposed rebirth of Memorandum of Understanding. Blackman gave assurances that her country will reinforce efforts to end terrorism in Nigeria and piracy in the Gulf of Guinea. The British High Commission in Nigeria is offering young women in Nigeria aged between 18 to 23 the opportunity to be High Commissioner for a Day with the launch of its British High Commissioner for a Day competition. According to a statement issued on Wednesday by the British High Commission, Abuja, the competition is part of activities to mark the International Women's Day on the 8th March 2022 and in celebration of the year of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. The theme of this year's International Women's Day is Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow. The British Council says the competition is aimed at encouraging young women to become leaders and advocates for change. The High Commissioner for a Day applicants are expected to record and upload a 1-minute video describing what positive change they would like to see in the context of climate action and how they can contribute to making that change happen, and share their video on either Twitter, Facebook or Instagram by tagging at UK in Nigeria, that is at UKINNIGERIA, and using the hashtag IWDNG. Applications will be open until 23:59 p.m. on February 27. The federal government has restated its commitment to transform the country's economy through digital innovation and information technology. Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Issa Ali Pantami, disclosed this on Tuesday when he commissioned the newly established Muhammadu Buhari Information Technology Innovation Hub in Katsina State. Pantami described the hub as an incubation center where youths will be trained and mentored on new innovations in ICT as a means for them to become job providers and contribute to the nation's economy. He also explained that the project is part of the federal government's policy on the National Digital Economy Policy on Strategy. Meanwhile, the governor of Katsina State, Aminu Masari, assured people of the state of the government's readiness to continually encourage youth to embrace information technology, adding that 60% of the current population of the state, which is about 7 million, are under the age of 30. The House of Representatives has mandated its Committee on Reformation Services to investigate the state of the Nigerian Correctional Service. The development on Wednesday followed a motion of urgent national importance by the minority leader Ndode Ilumelu. During plenary, concerns were raised about the deteriorating working conditions of staff as well as the welfare of inmates. The lawmakers also noted that the arms units of the unit still operate substandard weapons despite the 1 billion naira budget provision in the 2020-2021 budget for the service. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has identified a paucity of funds as one of the major obstacles to implementing the National Action Plan for Health Security, NAPHS. NCDC Director General Dr. Ifedayo Adetifa said this while presenting a paper at a 2-day retreat on COVID-19 and health security in Nigeria. Adetifa, who was represented by Dr. Bola Lawal, an epidemiologist in the NCDC, noted that NAPHS, if implemented according to best practices, would promote one health animal-human environment interface. He therefore called for the creation of a special budget for NAPHS. Adetifa said the NCDC needed support in the areas of investment in national and subnational health security by ministries, departments, and agencies, MDAs. He also called for sustained private sector investment, community engagement, and regional cooperation and trans-border collaboration. And now we'll move on to sports.
UEFA will cover the cost of more than 30,000 supporters' tickets for its men's and women's club competitions finals this year. European Soccer Governing Body has announced 10,000 tickets will be made available for the UEFA Champions League final, 8,000 tickets for the Europa League final, and 6,000 tickets each for the Europa Conference League final and the Women's Champions League final, all divided equally between the finalist clubs. The Confederation has made the move to acknowledge the loyal support of the fans during the pandemic, and the roles of the supporters in hastening the demise of the breakaway Super League has also been credited by UEFA in the past. The move will come at no cost to the competing clubs, and the intention is that the clubs should use the tickets as a reward to their most loyal supporters. UEFA has also stipulated that the tickets must not be given to sponsors, partners, or club officials. UEFA also said it was conscious of the current inflationary situation around Europe and has announced it was capping Category 4 and 3 tickets at €70 and €180 respectively for the next 3 finals in 2022, 2023 and 2024, keeping in line with the prices in place since 2020. And still talking sports business, WSC, which is AI-powered highlight specialist, has confirmed a $100 million Series D funding round led by ION crossover partners. Existing investors, including Intel Capital, Otech, and Dan Gilbert's Detroit Venture Partners, also participated in the latest capital raise. WSC said it plans to use the new funding to support aggressive growth plans for 2022 and beyond, including a push into new territories and new sports. WSC added that it will also be seeking to integrate new features into the platform focused on areas such as betting and non-fungible tokens. And finally, on sports business at this hour, Tom Brady's production company, Religion of Sports, is reportedly looking to raise $50 million, which would value the company at $100 million. Religion of Sports was founded 4 years ago and has already produced the Brady documentary known as Man in the Arena, along with the Simeon Biles documentary Simon and Herself. The company, co-founded by the recently retired Brady, former NFL player Michael Strahan, and filmmaker Gautam Chopra, has raised $16 million to date. Last year, it reached its revenue roughly $35 million. Last year, Brady also formed 199 Productions, a multi-platform content company focused on films, documentaries, and TV shows. Religion of Sports is more zeroed in on sports and the passions behind it, whereas 199 Productions has more wide-ranging projects. And that's it on Sports Business. I'm Samson Oleide.
Thank you, Samson. Coming up next is Entertainment Business.
Hello, this is Entertainment Business. I am Michelle Abanu. Nigerian music star Davido has fulfilled his promise of disbursing his 250 million naira birthday largesse to orphanages across the country. In a statement released via his Twitter page on Tuesday, February 15, 2022, the music star thanked the committee that was set up to disburse the funds. Since its inauguration, the members of the committee have worked tirelessly to ensure that they collate the names and information of the documented and verified orphanages, part of the statement read. He went on to reveal that the entire funds had been disbursed to 292 orphanages across the country. The music star and father of three said his goal is to raise funds every year as part of activities to mark his birthday. He prayed that his colleagues and friends would continue to support his benevolent acts. Moving on, actor Alec Baldwin is among several defendants named in a wrongful death suit following the fatal shooting of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins on the set of Rust in October. On Tuesday, Matthew Hutchins filed a lawsuit in Santa Fe, New Mexico on behalf of himself and his son Andros Hutchins, alleging that Baldwin recklessly fatally shot Hutchins' 42-year-old wife and that the Rust production failed to perform industry-standard safety checks or follow basic gun safety rules. The lawsuit seeks unspecified damages, including punitive damages. No criminal charges have been filed by the Santa Fe Sheriff's Office, and investigation is reported to be ongoing. This lawsuit is only one of several that have been filed in the wake of the incident. Investigators probing the fatal movie set shooting found a lead projectile in the shoulder of director Joel Souza, who was injured during the incident in New Mexico, that they believe was the cause of death for Hutchins. Around 500 rounds were found on the set, which were a mix of black ammunition, dummy rounds, and live rounds. The lawsuit alleged that Rust producers utilized aggressive cost-cutting practices that jeopardized and endangered the safety of cast and crew on set. These included hiring Gutierrez Red to perform 2 roles on set, rushing its production schedule, and hiring unqualified and inexperienced crew that were responsible for safety during the production. Next, low-budget film actor Zachary Joseph Horwitz was sentenced Monday to 20 years in federal prison after he pleaded guilty to scamming investors out of an estimated $650 million. U.S. District Judge Maxine Cassie meted out the sentence in Los Angeles and added that Horwitz is obligated to pay $230,360,884 he kept from the scheme, the U.S. Attorney Office in Los Angeles said. Horwitz persuaded 5 investors group and more than 250 people to lend him cash by claiming he could buy movie rights from producers and sell them to HBO, Netflix, and Sony Pictures Entertainment at a large profit as the platform sees the global consumer shift to streaming. Horwitz promised returns of as much as 45% and displayed fraudulent documents, including agreements giving his firm those rights, they said. Horwitz pitched his targets on a single title, sometimes getting $1 million or more from each victim and then later updating victims on its progress, Verastra said. Horwitz used his gains to purchase a home in Beverly Woods, south of Beverly Hills, for nearly $6 million, as well as luxury cars, travel by private jets, and luxury furnishings, according to prosecutors and court documents. And that's it on Entertainment Business. I am Michelle Abanu.
It's a wrap on Business Now. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasten Repeater. To enjoy the rest of the day. Bye for now.